Some nights silence carries more weight than shouting. Maria Alvarez moves around her son's house like a shadow, folding his shirts, wiping his kitchen counter, pretending she still belongs. Daniel barely looks up from his phone. The air between them is a long history of unspoken words, his impatience, her quiet tolerance. That evening, she asks about dinner. He sighs, says he's too busy. The television hums, the clock ticks, and something small inside her finally breaks. She asks softly, "Daniel, when did you stop needing your mother?" His answer comes sharp without looking up. "When I realized you're useless." The sound of her breath catching is almost inaudible, but in that moment, the home she built for him turns to dust beneath her feet. That night, Maria packs her things without a sound. The house, once filled with birthday laughter and her husband's voice, now feels like someone else. She places a photograph of young Daniel in her suitcase, his gap-toothed smile from the first day of school. It used to mean everything. When she shuts the suitcase, the echo fills the room like a door closing on an entire life. Daniel stays in the living room, pretending not to hear the faint creak of her suitcase wheels. His pride shields him, but beneath it, guilt gnaws, too faint to change anything. Maria steps outside, the night air cold against her face. She doesn't cry. The street is quiet, lined with amber streetlights and autumn leaves. Her small figure moves away from the house she built, a mother walking into the unknown with nothing but her dignity. Inside the darkened kitchen, Daniel notices the silence. No clinking dishes, no footsteps. He calls her name once, then twice, but the house gives no answer. On the counter sits a plate of untouched food, already gone cold. By dawn, Maria Alvarez stands at the city bus stop, with a small suitcase in the kind of stillness that comes only after heartbreak. She doesn't look back. She can't. Each passing car hums like a memory. The life she gave, the years she won't get back. The wind catches her gray hair, and for the first time in decades, she has nowhere to go. But she remembers Rosa, her oldest friend, the one who always said, "Pride doesn't feed you, cariño. Love does." So Maria boards the early bus toward the old neighborhood, toward someone who still remembers her work. Rosa Hernandez opens her door in surprise. She's still in her night robe, hair tied with a faded scarf, a half-empty cup of coffee in hand. The sight of Maria, exhausted and trembling, says everything words can't. Without asking a question, Rosa steps aside and says, "Come in, Hermana." Maria smiles faintly, the first true human warmth she's felt in months. Inside, Rosa brews coffee while Maria sits at the kitchen table, tracing the rim of her cup in silence. Rosa doesn't pry. She's known Maria too long to need explanations. The smell of freshly ground beans fills the small kitchen. Two women, both shaped by life's weight, share the kind of quiet that heals. But behind Maria's calm, a secret rests in her purse. A sealed folder containing signed deeds and documents that no one, not even Rosa, knows about yet. Later that afternoon, Maria helps Rosa hang laundry in the small backyard. Their laughter returns slowly, fragile but real. When Rosa asks if Daniel will come for her, Maria shakes her head. "No, querida. No, querida." He already did what he came to do. The sunlight catches the clothesline, and for a moment, Maria looks younger, lighter, like a woman who's finally stopped waiting for someone else to save her. That night, as Rosa sleeps, Maria sits alone by the window. The signed transfer papers open before her. Everything she owns. Handed to Emily Carter, she whispers into the darkness. "He took my kindness for weakness, but kindness is what saves us in the end." Outside, the city hums softly, unaware that an old woman just rewrote the fate of everyone she loves. 3 days later, Maria Alvarez steps off a local bus outside a small apartment complex on the city's south side. Her hand trembles slightly as she checks the address. Emily Carter, Daniel's ex-wife, The name glows faintly on the rusted mailbox. Maria's heart aches with memory wedding bells, laughter, the girl she once called daughter. She hesitates at the door, wondering if kindness will open it, or if pain will slam it shut. When Emily opens the door, the years dissolve in a single silent stare. She wears scrubs, tired from another night shift, her blonde hair tied in a loose bun. For a moment, neither speaks. Then Maria whispers, "I had nowhere else to go." Emily steps aside. "You don't need to ask, Maria. Come in." And just like that, two broken women, bound by love for the same man, find themselves under one roof again. Inside, the apartment is small but alive. Plants in coffee tins, a soft blanket on the couch, framed photos of patients Emily once helped. Maria looks around, quietly absorbing the warmth Daniel never gave her. Emily brews tea, her movements steady, gentle. "I never blamed you, Maria," she says softly. Maria looks up, startled. "You should have." But Emily only smiles, a fragile peace offering between two hearts, once caught in the same storm. As evening falls, Maria unzips her purse and pulls out the envelope. She lays it on the coffee table without a word. Emily frowns, confused, and opens it slowly. Her eyes widen. Property deeds, house papers, everything signed in her name. "Why?" she whispers. Maria answers simply, "Because you loved him when he didn't deserve it. You loved him the way I once did." Tears blur Emily's vision. Maria sits still, watching a weight she's carried finally shift. Later that night, Emily stands by the window watching Maria sleep on the couch. Outside, city lights shimmer like restless memories. Emily whispers to the dark, "He'll hate me for this." Then she looks back at Maria, this frail, fearless woman, and adds, "But maybe that's how he'll learn to love again." In that quiet, something begins to heal. Not the past, but the people left standing in its wake. "Sorry, it would sort me so." Oh, Daniel Alvarez sits in his sleek office high above the city, watching the skyline blur through tinted glass. The call from the bank still echoes in his mind. The mortgage default, the frozen account, the confusion over the property title. He slams the phone down, heart pounding. For the first time, control slips through his fingers. He blames the lawyer, the bank, everyone. Until a whisper of truth begins to surface. Maybe this is something his mother did. Something she saw coming long before he did. He drives to his mother's old house, fury simmering beneath the surface. The front yard looks unchanged. The flowers she planted still bloom, stubbornly alive. But when he tries the key, it doesn't fit. A new lock. Through the window, faint laughter filters out, a woman's voice. Then he sees her. Emily Carter, arranging a vase on the table like she belongs there. His chest tightens. Betrayal tastes bitterer when it feels like déjà vu. Emily steps out, surprised but calm. "Daniel," she says evenly. "You shouldn't be here." He laughs, bitter, sharp. "You living in my house?" "No," she answers softly. "Your mother's house." The words land like a strike. He feels his throat tighten, anger giving way to confusion. Confusion to something darker. Shame. Inside the living room, Emily hands him a sealed envelope. "Your mother asked me to keep this." Daniel opens it with trembling fingers. The property deed, her signature transferring everything to Emily. His vision blurs. "She gave you everything?" Emily nods quietly. "No, Daniel. She gave me what you threw away." He sinks into a chair, staring at the floor as the full weight of what he's done settles into silence. Daniel steps outside, the evening air thick and cold. He looks toward the empty street and whispers, "Mom, what did I do?" He remembers her standing in that kitchen, her silence after his words. The echo returns now. Not as guilt, but as grief. For the first time in years, Daniel doesn't feel powerful. He just feels small. Daniel Alvarez drives through the night with headlights slicing through rain. He's not sure what he'll say when he sees her, his mother Maria Alvarez, only that he can't carry the silence anymore. The windshield wipers beat in rhythm with his thoughts useless, worthless, unforgivable. Each word he once threw at her now echoes back, heavier, crueler. Rosa Hernandez answers the door before dawn. Maria, still half asleep, hears the knock and knows. Mothers always do. When she sees Daniel standing there, soaked and hollow-eyed, her breath catches. For a long time, neither speaks. Finally, Maria says quietly, "Come inside before the neighbors see you cry." It's the closest thing to forgiveness he's had in years. In Rosa's kitchen, Daniel sits at the small table, shoulders hunched. The clock ticks softly between them. "I thought I was helping you," he mutters. Maria shakes her head. "No, mijo, you were helping your pride." He stares at his hands, shame cutting deeper than any argument ever could. Maria reaches over, placing her weathered palm on his. "You can lose everything and still find yourself again. That's what I learned when you threw me out." Emily Carter arrives later that morning. She pauses in the doorway as Daniel looks up. The tension between them hums like a live wire. Unfinished business, old wounds, all laid bare. "You hate me," she says. Daniel shakes his head slowly. "No. I hate who I was when I lost you." Silence follows. Thick, necessary, cleansing. They all end up at the table. 3 people tied by love, loss, and everything that went wrong between them. Rosa pours coffee for everyone, her voice breaking the silence. Families don't fail. They just forget. You remember, you forgive. You begin again. Maria nods faintly, her eyes glistening. Daniel finally says, "I'm sorry." And for the first time in a long time, his mother believes him. That evening, Daniel Alvarez returns alone to his apartment, the silence almost unbearable. He sits on the floor beside unopened boxes, staring at a framed photo of himself and his mother from years ago. Her smile once gave him everything he needed. Now, it just reminds him of what he took for granted. He whispers into the quiet, "You were never useless." "I was." The truth feels like a wound opening, painful, cleansing. The next morning, Daniel drives to the cemetery where his father rests. Maria's voice echoes in his memory. "You can lose everything and still find yourself again." He kneels beside the gravestone, the cold seeping through his clothes. "Dad," he murmurs, "I became everything you warned me not to be." Wind moves through the trees like a sigh. A forgiveness the world gives when no one else is listening. Meanwhile, Maria Alvarez returns to her old classroom at the community center where she once taught adult literacy. Standing before the empty desks, she feels her spirit stir again. For years, she lived as someone's mother, someone's caretaker. Now, she remembers she was once a teacher, a woman with her own dreams. Rosa watches from the doorway, smiling. "You still have so much to give, Maria." And for the first time in months, Maria truly believes it. Daniel visits the community center unannounced, finding his mother mid-lesson with a small group of adults. He lingers by the door, watching her speak with warmth and patience. She notices him but doesn't stop. She keeps teaching, her voice steady and alive. For the first time, he sees her not as mom, not as someone who raised him, but as a woman who built herself from the ground up, even after he tore her down. After class, Daniel waits by the hallway. Maria steps out, surprised but calm. "I saw you," he says. "You looked happy." Maria smiles gently. "I am. You finally let me be." The words pierce him, not as punishment, but as peace. For the first time, they stand face to face as equals, both carrying their scars with quiet pride. Weeks pass. The seasons turn softer. Maria Alvarez returns to the small house she once called home. The flowers in her front garden, the ones she planted years ago, have grown wild but alive. Emily Carter is waiting on the porch, pruning roses. Maria walks up slowly, her steps uncertain but her heart steady. Emily smiles, holding out the clippers. "They missed you," she says. Maria answers with a quiet laugh. "Oh, so did I." Inside, the house feels different. Not hers, not Daniel's, but somehow theirs. Emily pours tea in the kitchen, the same way Maria once did. They speak about the past without bitterness, about Daniel, about mistakes, about forgiveness. "It's strange," Maria says softly. "When you let go of anger, the world feels bigger." Emily nods, her eyes bright, and lighter too. That evening, Daniel Alvarez arrives at the gate. He pauses, watching the lights inside flicker softly. For a moment, he almost turns away. But then he hears laughter, his mother's laughter. Light and real. He knocks on the door. When it opens, Maria doesn't hesitate. She simply steps forward and wraps her arms around him. And Daniel, for the first time since he was a boy, lets himself cry. Later, the three of them sit together. Maria, Daniel, Emily, surrounded by candlelight and gentle music. Rosa joins them, laughing as she passes a bowl of soup around. There's no talk of money or deeds, no bitterness. Just shared stories, soft apologies, and the fragile joy of people trying again. For once, love feels simple. Not earned, not owed, just given. Much later, Maria steps outside alone. The night air is cool, stars scattered above like distant blessings. She closes her eyes and breathes deeply. Her son's laughter drifts from inside. Alive, grateful, human again. She whispers to the quiet sky. "You were right. Love doesn't vanish. It just waits for us to remember it." And as the camera pulls back, the small house glows, humble, whole, and full of life once more.